Good morning and welcome to the debate show. I am BA. I have with me Jack Hirsch and James Martin. I hope you fellas are doing fine this morning, this 8th of December. I always gotta look at my calendar. I don't understand why I can't keep up with my days. I'm getting old. Anyway, and I can't use that excuse because Jack has got me beat there. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing great this morning. We have three pretty good questions to start off with as far as debate goes. The first question being is Tom Brady is finishing up his second season as an NFL broadcaster for Fox. Has his time in the booth been a success? Go ahead, Jack.
No one was rooting harder for Tom Brady than me to be a big success in the broadcast booth. And if he was just another guy, a no-name who was hired by Fox, I'd say, yeah, he's okay. He's fine. He knows the game. He explains to us what's going on the field. But with that said, the answer is no. This is Tom Brady. He's getting paid $37.5 million a year to show up on Sundays. Well, he shows up, I guess, a couple of days before. My feeling is the Fox crew shows up on Friday, prepares for the game Sunday, then he flies out. He was supposed to create a big buzz. Yet Tom Brady is more conservative in the booth than he's ever been on the football field. I mean, he never says anything controversial at all. He never goes out of his way to criticize a player. He's just explaining the game in a way we see it. I don't need him to say a lot of the things he says to me. Now, don't misunderstand me. I wasn't the biggest Greg Olsen fan. Greg Olsen is good, in the booth. He's good. He's very good. I like listening to him, but he's not exceptional. He's not John Madden, the type of personality. Greg Olsen didn't blow me away. So when Tom Brady replaced Greg Olsen, people were talking as if Greg Olsen had some sense of entitlement. To me, he had zero sense of entitlement to stay in the number one role. And what Fox did was what teams did. If you can get a Tom Brady as your starting quarterback, whoever else is in that role, takes a secondary position. And that's how it was in the broadcast booth. Tom Brady hasn't created a buzz at all. It's as if he doesn't want to antagonize anyone. It's as if he doesn't want to create any controversy. And his thing is, I'm just going to do my job. I'm just going to call the game as I see it on the field. I'm not going to call a player out for being lazy, unmotivated, making a foolish play. And if I have any criticism, I'm going to make it so gentle that no one's hardly going to notice, but then I could still say, well, I took him to task for not doing this, not doing that. This is Tom Brady, one of the big all-time names in sports. What buzz has he created in the booth? And I don't want him to go out of his way to just be over the top. Yeah, I want him to be himself. But I'll tell you this, guys, we know this for sure. When Tom Brady was a quarterback, he lit into his players during practice, during the game. He was animated. He was a real leader. That's something he's not in the broadcast booth at all. And even though he might be adequate, adequate's not good enough. Okay, so to me, he hasn't been a success. It hasn't created a buzz. We hardly even notice it's Tom Brady in the booth when we're listening to him, guys. It could just be anyone.
So when Tom Brady started in football, nobody knew who Tom Brady was. When he was a rookie, he came in unless you're a Michigan fan, you really didn't know who Tom Brady was. You weren't expecting him to start. You weren't expecting him to play. That was Drew Bledsoe's team. But lo and behold, here he comes. And once he got a hold of that ball, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't great. But it was definitely good and manageable. But as time went along, Tom Brady became Tom Brady that you knew. He didn't start out as Tom Brady. And I think being a success in a whole nother industry that he's never done is probably going to be take time. It's going to take time. I mean, that's a whole different industry. Michael Jordan, when became a general manager, became the owner, totally different than what he was doing when he was playing ball. And to be honest with you, he never became a true success at it. It's going to take time. I think he's better this season than he was the first season. So to me, in essence, if you're improving, that's a success. It's just not a Tom Brady like success. It's not a finished product. So I'd say you got to give him time, Jack. It's going to have to be a little bit more time. Now, mind you, is he Tony Romo? Tony Romo was kind of like uh, 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 what do you call those guys? The guys that are really smart that I can't think of a savant. Tony Romo, he seemed like a savant coming out into this industry, and he had great chemistry with Jim Nantz. Does Tom Brady have good chemistry with Kevin Burkhardt? I think so. I think Tom is just a different dude. He's a little different. And now you saying that he didn't have anything controversial to say. He's had a couple of things. I think he had some issues with what's the quarterback in Tampa Bay? He had issues with Baker Mayfield. Yeah, there were some controversial things said, and so
Mayfield said something about Brady with the locker room while Brady was a quarterback. So
got you.
It wasn't exactly.
It wasn't. It maybe it was the other way around, but he fired back at him. Let's just say that he did fire back. So yeah, I get it that he does not like say a lot of controversial things. Typically, the color analysts are the ones that that say some of the most outrageous things, or they add in. But again, he's not the leader. You're not going to be a leader when you're the lead analyst. I mean, the other guy, that Burkhardt, Joe Buck, and Jim Nantz, those guys are going to be Al Michaels, Mike Tirico. Those are the lead guys. But to have chemistry is the biggest thing you want, and to be able to know when to chime in. I think he's learning that. I think that's getting better than what it was the first season. Is he better than Jim Nantz and Tony Romo? No. But I think they're better than Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. I don't know how they get their jobs. Those guys have about as much personality as bread mold.
I like those guys. Yeah. Fucking Aikman.
Have fun with that, sir. I'm glad you do.
It's all taste. I realize it's all taste. And I'm not saying Tom Brady isn't good. You listen to the game, you can enjoy him. He doesn't have a powerful voice, okay? That's a little bit of a factor. But I'll give you that. But compare it to team sports. Your highest paid player has to be an impact player. You can't look and say, well, he's a good player. He's serviceable. He does a decent job. If he's the highest paid player, you want more than a decent job. You want him to have a buzz. When Tom Brady came in, he had to create a buzz in the beginning. That time has passed. That window's closed. He's not going to create a buzz late in his second season, in his third season. And if he does start saying things that a little bit, maybe outlandish is the wrong word, but that creates a little controversy, it's not going to go over the same way. He had to hit the ground running. That's what I'm saying. He never hit the ground running. He was like it's like you hired a financial advisor and his strength was filling out all the forms nicely. He was an expert at filling out forms, but not actually exploring the market the way you want him to. But yeah, he's been okay, Brady. I like him. I enjoy listening to him, but he hasn't created that impact that, Fox made it out to be.
I think the thing that you guys are not looking at either is the fact he's part owner in the Raiders. And there's certain things he can get away with saying if he's not. Okay. He's got to kind of reserve himself because he is part owner of the Raiders. Or, part owner of part owner of the Raiders, I guess you could say. And he needs to kind of tone stuff down. I think the NFL's got on him a couple of times about some stuff that he said on his broadcast, just to let him know, hey, he can't be as flamboyant as he wants to be because of that fact. And I think if he wasn't in the situation that he was in, he'd be a lot better. He'd be a lot better color commentator than he is right now. I think he would hit the ground running. I just think that's
wait, Brian. But let's look at the timeline. When he first took the job at Fox, correct me if I'm wrong, he wasn't yet a minority owner of the Raiders.
No, he
So
was.
He
are
was.
you sure about the last year,
Yes,
the beginning of the year?
he was the owner prior to.
Yep, prior to taking that job. Yep. He got the job for the minority owner for the Raiders, and then he took the commentary job. So, I mean, even though that was on the table way before he even took the job at the Raiders, but at the same time, regardless of that situation.
Look, I like someone who'll go out on a limb. For example, years ago, George Allen, the old-time coach of the Washington Redskins, he transitioned to the NFL booth. And at one point, the quarterback had so much time to throw that Allen got disgusted, and he said he had enough time to make a sandwich while he was in the pocket. You know, you kind of get a kick out of stuff like that. And I'm not saying you get on a particular player and put him down and create that controversy, but there had to be things that Tom Brady observed about teams that really would have ticked him off about that team. And there's a way of making an impact, talking about it, but he takes a political, approach to things in his commentary. I'm curious, guys, what don't you like about both of you? What don't you like about Troy Aikman and Joe Buck?
Well, go ahead, James. You can go on that one.
Yeah, I mean, Troy Aikman has, as a color analyst, has good insight when he talks about things. But I'm thinking, like you said, you're mentioning with the color analyst, there's no controversial thing being said. He's boring. And Joe Buck, he's okay. He's decent as a lead. But man, I'm definitely going to give it to Jim Nantz over him. I mean, Jim Nantz has personality that goes along with his skill. Because Joe Buck has skill to do what he's doing, but there's a reason that they're not doing the Super Bowls anymore. There's a reason that they're not like the lead guys on Fox anymore. It's just, and one, they're getting older. That's probably another thing. But I would listen more so to Jim Nantz. And
no. That's right. They're on ESPN. I mean, with Aikman, they do the Monday Night Football.
Yes, they switched. So, but even saying that, they used to be with Fox. Yes, my apologies, but they used to be with Fox, and they used to do the Super Bowls, and it just, it obviously is. It was, most people didn't like, they just didn't provide a lot of excitement. I wasn't like, if a great play is happening, I got excited because I saw the great play. Because a lot of times there's a great analyst or color commentator. If there's a play going on and it's exciting, you're going to listen more to what they're saying. I mean, they're almost distracting to the point like, wow, that was great. Like a great take on that play. I never got that from Troy Aikman or Joe Buck. It was just okay. I just, I wasn't moved. I'll just put it that way.
I think Joe Buck is a better color analyst on baseball than he is on football. I don't really have a problem with Joe Buck at all. I don't have a problem with Troy. Troy Aikman, it's kind of like when Tony Romo started off. Tony Romo hit the ground running. And I really like listening to Tony Romo because he had a lot of really good insight on the game. But over his years of broadcasting, though, he's kind of went limp. He's just like, it's like, really, Tony? Okay, what happened to all your? Yeah, he's just. I'm not understanding what all happened since when he joined the broadcasting booth. It's like, dude, you were so insightful. I enjoyed listening to you. Now it's like, dude, I can't. It's like watching a show that you watch for a long period of time. You really enjoy the episodes, and then they just take a turn in the script, and it's like, what? I'm not watching this. That's exactly what Tony Romo is to me. I don't like Chris Collinsworth. I'm gonna tell you that right now. That dude gets on my nerves. He is irritating. So, I mean, that's my opinion. I think it's a general opinion of a lot of people too, because as many comments as I see after the games or during the games, when people are chatting about it or whatever the case may be. But that guy,
he's a happy commentator.
I don't know what he-
You say he's a happy commentator?
But can I say something? You want the commentators to be knowledgeable in all aspects of the game. And for a lot of the Jet games, you guys don't hear it where you live. I hear the game. We have Jonathan Vilma, former Jet also, Saint, the whole bit, giving his commentary. And he's talking about the Jet quarterback situation. And he's saying the Jets have a lot of draft capital. They can trade 2 number 1 draft picks to the 49ers for either Brock Purdy or Mac Jones. And I'm thinking, this fool actually thinks, Mac Jones is worth 2 number 1 picks. A guy who went for a 6th-round selection, who's been traded. Are you out of your mind? You understand the game? I mean,
he said that?
2 number 1 draft picks for Mac Jones. What an idiot. I mean, come on. Are you kidding? I mean, how do you say a remark like that? How do you say a remark like that?
He did play linebacker, so you got to give him a little slack.
No.
Maybe there's
too many
he
hits.
might be still too many hits to the head, maybe, possibly. So.
I mean, that is so ludicrous.
Yeah.
Mac Jones, 2 number 1 draft picks. Can you imagine the 49ers phone rings? I mean, and they get 2 number 1s for Mac Jones.
Oh, they can't wait to ship him off to New York.
Right.
But yeah, that's first of all, let me just say that I agree that's ludicrous. Clearly that's not going to happen. I don't know if that was a shock take or something. He just jokingly.
No, he wasn't saying it jokingly. He was serious.
Oh goodness! So I can only imagine what the commentator sitting next to him was thinking.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
Get this guy. No. Well, just a general question to follow this question. I mean, this debate. Who would you like to see in a booth? Just one person. You ain't got to name 500 people. One person that you would like to see in the booth. And Jack, I'm going to give you that one. Who would you like to see?
Wait, it's not just one person broadcasting the game. Yeah.
No. I mean, one person you want to see broadcasting the game with somebody.
I always liked Al Michaels. I think him going over to Prime for the Thursday night games, he kind of lost his mojo doing that because his first season at Prime, there were a lot of bad games. The games have gotten better. But I think the Sunday night football audience is the best of all to get. That's my opinion. I don't know what you guys think, whether it's Monday night, Sunday afternoon. I think Sunday night. By going to Thursday night, you lose something off your fastball. But Al Michaels has always been like a favorite of mine.
What about you, James?
If I had to get somebody, I would love to be like a shock take person, it would be Sean Payton, because some of the things he's said in his post conferences and stuff like that, I can only imagine what he'd be as a color commentator. So definitely would be funny to say the least to have him in as with someone. I definitely wouldn't want what's his name, Bill Belichick. I'm just thinking like from a coaching perspective, he'd be mumbling the whole game.
He'd be mumbling. Bill Parcells would have been good, I think. Because he only was disgusted with things and spoken up. I know what Brian's going to say. Dan Campbell.
No, I would say John Gruden if it wasn't for the fact the whole NFL hates boring. No, he's not. He actually has done color commentating before, and he is funny. And
he had some good stuff.
Yeah, he had some good stuff. He was kind of like, I'm not comparing him because I don't put anybody above John Madden because John Madden was like to me the ultimate color commentator, but he's up there. He's up there with him at least. I don't see and as much as I saw of him on there, I said I don't know why they took him off. Maybe he was just being too real for him because that dude was on point with a lot of stuff. He was funny as heck, because he would have a little couple things he would say about the teams and the players, why didn't he do this? Well, he must have been, he must have had a hiccup or he say some stuff out the box a little bit sometimes. And that's what I thought was entertaining about him.
I like Tony.
And that's what color commentary is being entertaining. That's whoever can entertain you the most when they're up there calling the game. That's what you want to see or want to
I
hear.
think Tony Dungy is pretty good. I enjoy listening
Tony
to him.
Dungy's good too.
Yeah.
Like
You
Tony
guys
Dungy.
like Tony Dungy? I love Tony Dungy as a coach. I loved him as obviously a player prior to the Steelers, but he's Tony's kind of boring, man. I mean, I guess for me, if you're a color commentator, you're supposed to bring a little bit of more flair. Or you're supposed to add to what
That's
the
true.
person is doing, and he just didn't do that for me. I like when he gives his analysis on. Is he still on Sunday Night Football? He doesn't talk anymore. I don't. Yeah, he
Yeah.
still does that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's still
So
there.
I mean, him and Rodney Harrison. Yeah, when they do their takes, I'm good on that. But as far as being in the seat, man, to call a game, oh no, sir. Tony
Yeah,
is.
I can see where you're coming from right there. I would probably had Herm Edwards on there.
Oh, there you
Herm
go.
is in left field. Herm is kind of in left field. He does some ESPN now. He's likable. The thing about Herm Edwards, when he was coach of the Jets, a coach anywhere, he was the type of guy you could bump into him before I got in his car and wanted to talk football with him, and he would just hang out with you for 5 minutes and talk. I mean, he was that type of down-to-earth guy, no airs about him at all. So he was a very likable guy, but Herm is Herm. He's kind of a little over the top with his enthusiasm. Good person, though, it seems. But,
Without a doubt.
Yeah, you gotta have that.
Play
Gotta
to
have that.
win the game.
That's right. He's always going to be known for that comment.
yeah.
All right. Speaking of New York, did the New York Mets do the correct thing in letting Pete Alonzo leave via free agency? I'll give this one to James.
Yes, baseball, my favorite sport here. Definitely.
You're
But
learning.
look, yes, I'm learning. So Pete
So I'll put him
Alonzo
on a
is.
spot.
That's okay. That's okay. I'll take it. I love challenges. So Pete Alonzo has become the face of the New York Mets team, and they let him go. I mean, I know they offered him in 2023 158 million, a 7-year contract, but he didn't take that, and they're looking to move forward. So I say yes. I say yes because they want to go more in a defensive like strategy. They want a little more defense on the team, and Pete doesn't really have that. He's more known for his power. He's more known for hitting home runs. He took over Darryl Strawberry's record. So he's the all-time home run hitter there in New York, and no longer is he there. He's got a contract where he's 31. So I'm not saying he's on the wrong side of 30. You could play, still play at a high level in baseball, but again, not having a defensive presence in the outfield, they're looking to get other people like Cody Bellinger. I think there's a name's been tied to the Mets potentially, coming in and taking his place. And I'm not saying he's going to be anything, offensively, but to tie in with Francisco Linder, the shortstop. I think they need to have a good plan in place if you're going to replace a guy like this. But if that's their strategy, that's what they need to do. They didn't. What did they win last year? They came in second in their division. And did they do anything with him? To be able to besides the miracle second coming of the miracle Mets the year prior last year. I mean, it's just and you have a star there already now. You have an offensive star there. In Juan Soto. So he was expendable. They let him go. You don't want to pay him that. You don't want to match 155 million for 5 years. I don't have a problem with that. They just need to make sure that they have something in place, a plan in place, and it seems like they do. I think they just want to go defensive. You don't pay that extra money there. You get some other guys here to go that direction, and you build around Juan Soto. So I think they did the right thing.
Well, just good luck to Juan Soto when he gets up this year. Unless the Mets make a big move, the guy hitting right behind him was Pete Alonzo. That meant Juan Soto was going to get pitches to hit because Alonzo was up next. But this is more than a baseball decision. I'm a Yankee fan, don't get me wrong, but I know the Met fans, they love Pete Alonzo because he was homegrown. He was one of them. there's a such thing as legacy players. There are very few legacy players that any sports franchise has, very few. And when you have a legacy player, you do everything in your power within reason to sign them. Everything in your power. We saw what happened with the New York Giants in football. They had a legacy play in Saquon Barkley. He should have been a career Giant. The fans loved him, but they move on from him because an owner's listening to a GM. And we see the way that turned out. Okay. And the same situation here. Steve Cohen, the Met
Yeah.
owner, is worth $22 billion, guys. $22 billion. That means with revenue sharing, penalties, this and that, he could afford to even lose a couple of $1 billion. What's the big deal? He'll go from 22 million to 20 billion, 22 billion down to 20 billion. But with interest, he'll be back at 22 billion before you know it. Okay. So I don't want to hear money this, money that. Met fans loved Alonzo. James brought up a meaningful stat. In 2023, the Mets offered Alonzo a 7-year extension for a little over $22.5 million a year. Somewhat reasonable at the time, somewhat. Alonzo thought he was worth more and could get more, and time kind of proved him right because with the past 2 years, with what he got paid, with the following 5, the difference in money between 158 would have been 47 million because he's earning 205 million during that time instead of 158. So Alonzo was smart not to take that deal, as it turned out, even though it wasn't unreasonable. Met fans love Alonzo, love him, and the Mets showed very little interest in keeping him. It's kind of demeaning. If other companies are looking to hire you, they want you badly, a couple of them, and the company you're in is lukewarm. They say, yeah, we'll talk about that promotion later on. We'll talk about a raise later on. We'll address all that. Don't worry about it, James and Brian. We'll address it. Well, the other companies have shown how badly they want you. And you're going back to your company, I'd like to stay here if it could be worked out. And they're saying, yeah, we value you, but they're not really showing they value you. And, and Pete Alonzo, I don't want to be a liability. He's not that bad defensively. He's not what they want defensively, but he's not a disaster at first base. I mean, I've seen him play a lot of games. He's not a disaster. He's adequate. As the years go by, he's going to lose a little something with getting old. I understand that, but they got the DH too. But the thing about it is, the Mets, I can understand not signing Alonzo this past week when it had gotten to that point. They didn't want to give him 5 years at that type of money, and they weren't given a chance to match it at this point because Alonzo knew they had no interest in matching anything. But they could have worked something out in the off season. They could have given him a 4-year deal, for 30 million a year, as opposed to him waiting in free agency. We got 155 million for 5 years. He never knew that he would have gotten that amount of money. I mean, it all of a sudden popped up at the last moment because Alonzo, who lives in Tampa, he drove to the baseball winter meetings in Orlando to sell himself. And it apparently worked with the Baltimore Orioles. And I'm going to finish up saying he's a legacy player. He should have been a Met his whole career. That's what the fans wanted. Everyone loves Pete. And usually you're going to see when players leave for free agency for the money, sometimes they get booed coming back. Met fans, when he comes back, it's going to be the biggest celebration. They absolutely love this guy. And they know how much he wanted to be a Met his whole career as well.
Let me rebuttal just once on that, and then I'll let you go, Brian. Look, I agree with you in regards to having a legacy player. I said the same thing about Saquon Barkley when you mentioned it in regards to him not being with the Giants anymore and them letting him go, and he went to an inter-division rival to the Philadelphia Eagles. But with that being said, what was he going to do this season or last season with the Giants? Was there going to be any difference in success, or like I know our buddy A Train likes to mention that, and I still give him flack for it, but he has a point. What was he going to do on that team besides maybe get beat up and have his
Oh,
career going in a downward turn or spiral? I'm not saying that Pete Alonzo didn't have a good season with the Mets. He had a great season. He had 38 home runs in 25. But did it benefit them in any way? Did it benefit in a way that to where they're making a turn to go in another direction to where they're progressing? They're contenders for a World Series. Not at all. Not at all. And so I can see, and I love the fact that you're counting the pockets of a billionaire and saying he could have spent a little more money on somebody. There's a reason he's worth 22 billion. He's probably
well,
counting
no, he's
every
a
penny.
supposed big Met fan. Listen, guys, you and Brian, if you guys were worth 22 billion. I know how much you love the Saints, James, and Brian loves, let's say the Tigers. Let's veer it to baseball, okay? And you wanted to win it bad enough, and you had that little amount of money to play around with. I think you guys would go that extra little mile. And if you treat it like a business, I don't want to hear what the team was going to do well with them and what they're doing without him. They're doing nothing without him. The Giants were worse last year without Saquon Barkley. They were the laughing stocks of the NFL. They wouldn't have been the laughing stocks of the NFL had they held on to Saquon Barkley. No, they wouldn't have won, but they turned into absolute laughing stocks. And they never
No, sir, they were laughing stocks while he was there.
Wound up getting fired on that. And Joe Shine is a joke of a general manager there. And they're laughing stocks, the Giants.
They were laughing stocks when he was there. They only had one good season when they went to the playoffs with him.
He created a great image. He created
yes, I agree.
Alonzo,
but he was getting beat up. He was getting beat up. He went
without him. You're not better without him, so you may as well.
But he was better without him. He was better without him.
There's a history with teams. We look at the history of teams, and you want legacy players who've been there. Like the Yankees have this great tradition, legacy. But imagine letting Yogi Berra go in free agency. He wouldn't have been the legacy player he was. A Mickey Mantle. You want a guy who's a legacy, some legacy players. Al Kaline with the Tigers, legacy player, guy who's been there his whole career. And now they had that in Pete Alonzo. They don't have anyone like that anymore.
But I'm gonna have to, Brian. I'm gonna have to pull your name into the mix here. I know you don't like to be the example of the stepchild, but no, I'm just saying. I'm gonna pull Brian in the mix here for his team, the Detroit Lions. He had a couple of legacy players there, 3 of them, as a matter of fact, and 2 of them retired with no winning success, and 1 went to a whole nother team and won a Super Bowl. I'm talking about Barry Sanders, I'm talking about Calvin Johnson, and I'm talking about Matthew Stafford. Those all 3 were legacy players. And what did it get them for being there?
It doesn't matter. I'm not saying winning. When you look at the history of the Detroit Tigers, the Lion fan base has tremendous pride in Megatron and Barry Sanders. Imagine they had let them go a few years before to another team. They wouldn't have been legacy Lions.
Yes, they would have. Those guys wanted to win. Just like everybody in the game, they want to win. They want to win. And when you lose luster, those guys retired early. They could have played more games. They were wore out.
But my point is, if they played for other teams, and split their time being Lions on other teams, they wouldn't have been legacy Lions. They wouldn't have been legendary Lion players. But I think Matthew
Stafford is still a legacy player for the Lions, even if he did win a Super Bowl with them. He did enough to be considered a legacy player there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he broke all the records, all the quarterback records there. Regardless of that whole situation, because this is not about a guy being tired of playing for a team. Pete Alonzo wants to get paid. It's his right to get paid. And New York Mets, they suck for not signing him. This guy is a Five-time All-Star. He's been in the MVP running 4 times. He was a Rookie of the Year when he got on the Mets in 2019. The dude won a Silver Slugger Award last year. He had his best year as far as what was his batting average and his on base percentage last year. He still put up numbers, and I don't understand why you wouldn't sign a guy that is, he's only been playing there for 7 years. Come on, sign a guy so he can play until he ends his career there. And the dude's putting up numbers. He's still playing good. Whether he's 31 or not, who cares? He's still playing well. You can't. If everybody pays people on projections, I mean, there's people that are out there killing it at 35, 36 years old in the sports. So I don't want to hear that either. Oh, we're getting old. Whatever. This dude is still putting out. He's still putting out performances. He's helping the Mets whatever way he possibly can. And that's all you can ask of him individually. So that was dumb. They should have paid him. To your point, Jack, yes, he's a legacy player. You don't let players like that go.
Yeah.
You don't. He's putting up, his average is pretty decent over the 7 years he's played for the Mets. I don't understand it. I just don't understand it. But whatever. I guess the guy's trying to save some change. Whatever. I hope he finds somebody that can replace Pete Alonzo for the next 4 or 5 years, whatever the case. But I don't agree with it either. I think it's stupid they didn't pay him. Okay. Next question. Is it time for the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow to part ways? And I just go ahead, Jack.
Well, this is one of those questions you could go back and forth on. But I'm going to say, yeah, they should. It's gotten to the point, and I know Burrow's a great quarterback. I mean, we all agree on how good he is, I think. But if you can't stay on the field, you're not helping your team, bottom line, no matter how good you are. I'd rather have a good quarterback who's on the field a lot than a great quarterback who's not on the field a lot, basically. And with Joe Burrow, it's been a roller coaster. He got to a Super Bowl with the Cincinnati Bengals, but all his time there, for the most part, I don't want to say it's been disappointing. They got eliminated in the AFC Championship game by the Chiefs, but you get the feeling the best of Joe Burrow is done as far as the Cincinnati Bengals are concerned. It's not going to get better going forward. And he doesn't seem to be happy there. And I think maybe this whole Bengal team needs a rebuild in a certain sense. I mean, their defense is paper thin, and they have a great receiver, Jamar Chase, and a good secondary one in T. Higgins. We know that, okay? Someone who I'm sure Burrow enjoys throwing, especially to Jamar Chase, who was his teammate at LSU when they won a national championship as well. But Burrow's enthusiasm just doesn't seem to be there. I mean, a statement came out that he's maybe not having fun, but it never looked like he was having fun the last couple of years. Something is always coming up. He's getting turf toe, he's getting this, he's getting that. And can you count on him if you're the Cincinnati Bengals? Can you count on him to play a full season? I have doubts at this point. Now, you don't trade away Joe Burrow unless you get a boatload back. Let me make that clear. You don't just trade Joe Burrow for 2 number 1 draft choices. You don't do that. I mean, Sauce Gardner, the Jets got 2 number 1s and Adonais Mitchell, for Sauce Gardner. So you got to get a lot more for Joe Burrow. But if a team like the Jets, for example, was going to give you 4 number 1s, 2 number 2s, and a number 3, wow. You're sitting down and you're starting to meet and you're thinking, maybe we better do this because we can now rebuild our team. And, maybe even a young quarterback's going to fault us with that. I kind of feel that maybe it's time with the Bengals and Joe Burrow, unless Joe Burrow goes to the Bengals and says, look, I don't want to go anywhere. I'm buying all in. Then I take a step back. That's cool, Joe. I know we just talked about legacy players. You're going to be a Bengal your whole career. If you're absolutely committed to being a Bengal, as much as Pete Alonzo was committed to being a Met, that makes it different. But once Joe Burrow starts wavering, I'm not having so much fun. I don't know this. I don't know that. How would you feel if you kept Joe Burrow and he retired in a year two because he doesn't enjoy playing football anymore? When you could have made a massive deal for him and gotten a big haul. And sometimes with athletes like that, a Giannis in basketball, you trade them while the value is extremely high at that moment. Because if you wait an extra year, better yet, Brian Burns, the defensive end of the Carolina Panthers, the Rams offered 2 number ones for him. Panthers turned it down 1 year later, taking a 5th round draft choice to move on from him. So I think the timing is right for Cincinnati to move on from Joe Burrow, unless Burrow makes it very clear this is where he wants to be in Cincinnati.
Two words. Heck no. There's no way if I'm the Bengals organization, even if I am dysfunctional, even if I have shown history to be not a great organization. How often do you find a Joe Burrow? How often do you get a quarterback in a situation where he's the top cream of the crop? He's the top of the barrel. He's up there in the upper echelon, top 5 quarterback every year, even if he does get hurt. Why does he get hurt? I mean, look, it could be a combination of things. It could be the organization not putting the proper alignment of offensive linemen around him. I mean, even though I think everybody has that problem around the league, where you don't. I mean, they just might be one of the worst, uh, if not the worst. And it could be Joe Burrow's body just not holding up. It could be the offensive line just are having bad play. It could be all three. I don't know. But what I do know is Joe Burrow last year threw for 4,900 yards, 43 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. So if the offensive line was that bad, which wasn't great, he still was able to put up some phenomenal numbers and had them in contention. If it wasn't for a bad defense and the slow start in the beginning of the season, they'd be in the playoffs. We're talking about them potentially unseating the Kansas City Chiefs going to the Super Bowl because Kansas City wasn't all that great. I think, and before without the years where he got hurt, he's had a couple of 4,500 yard seasons and 35 touchdowns. So this is a dude that you want to make sure that you're protecting, that you're okay with. And as far as Joe Burrow not being happy, man, look, you're getting paid $75 million. At the time when you got that contract, you were in 219 guaranteed. You're the highest paid quarterback. You're not always going to be happy, brother. Y'all need to figure it out. There's 219 million reasons to figure it out. You're getting paid a lot of guaranteed money there. There's been speculation that, and I think it's just that speculation that he might want to potential retire, that kind of thing, kind of like what Andrew Luck did. I don't know. I think to me, honestly, I think he's better than Andrew Luck. And Andrew Luck was a great player. He was a great prospect coming out of Stanford, but I think Joe Burrow is a lot better. And I'm not being biased because he's coming from LSU. I'm just giving you the facts of what he's being able to do. And with that said, they got to work on the offensive line. Look, he got into the media. He said pay his players. They paid your players. They need to work on the offensive line and continue to work on the defense. He's 29. Does he have time to be still a stud quarterback? Yes, he does have time. They're proving that quarterbacks can play up until they're 40 now because no one can. Well, they're not supposed to hit the quarterback, but I think and beat up the quarterback. But in Joe's case, he's getting beat up. So I think there's a situation here where you just work on the offensive line and get get better on defense and look like even in this season, they look like they got a little better on defense already. I don't know. Maybe they're trying to turn the corner here, but if you're not happy, you got to figure it out, man, because again, you're the one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league. And so they did what you asked. They paid your receivers. They got they got a good tight end, Gesicki there. Your offense is lit. You just got to make it happen. Figure it out. You're a grown man. I buckle up your bootstraps and just go for the road. I mean, there's always times when humans, all of us, we're not happy at certain times. That's life. It is what it is. I don't want to hear that you're not happy. I mean, again, 219 million reasons why you should be like, okay, I'm going to push through. That's it.
James, I'm saying you don't trade him unless you get a big haul in return. Don't misunderstand me. I'll give you an example, a proposed deal. Cleveland Browns badly want a top-flight quarterback. Badly. I mean, I don't think they believe it's Shedeur Sanders. You're the Cincinnati Bengals. Your phone rings. We'll give you Shedeur Sanders, a number 1 draft pick this year, which is going to be a high one, and Myles Garrett for Joe Burrow. Your phone rings. I see you thinking. You're not so dismissive now. Maybe you turn it down, but you're seriously thinking, man, Myles Garrett, who could wreck a game on defense, Shedeur's come along nicely, and we get the number 1 overall pick. No, one of the top, picks in the draft this year, who could maybe be a whatever position. I mean, you got to think about it. This is Myles Garrett we're talking about.
But you're talking about the most fantasized situation that could possibly happen. What goofy, ignoramus organization would do something like that? Nobody would do anything like that. They would.
Why not?
Which one?
No. Well, come on. To give up now, you first of all, you got a young quarterback that's starting to show something here.
They would.
Oh, come on, no. They don't have faith in him, but he's starting the rest of the season. He's starting the rest of the season.
Believe me, if you could have Joe Burrow, you're not keeping Shedeur Sanders. Come on, let's be real.
I'm just saying, but you threw Myles Garrett in the mix, man. Come on. Ain't no way. Yeah, exactly. There's no way I'm giving up Myles Garrett for Joe Burrow, who can't stay healthy every other season. There's no way. There's no way I'm doing that. I'm not doing that. The evidence is on file. He's a great quarterback when he plays, but he's been out every other season. He's been out. Myles Garrett has been a mainstay and a wrecking machine. There's no way I'm giving him up for Joe Burrow. He's the quarterback of the defense. He's the leader of that defense. There's no way I'm going to throw him. And then you threw a young asset that you got for cheap for a 5th round that's showing some stuff. No.
Well, you wouldn't need him if you got Joe Burrow. That's the point. I mean, he would be a backup.
Yes, that's fair. But I mean, the offensive line situation is not great in Cleveland either. So you're putting him from one bad situation to another and potentially getting him
a good offensive line. You know, we talk about that each week.
I agree. But yeah, I would have to respectfully, sir, to you disagree on that take. No, there's no way. And that's putting it lightly when I say respectfully. Yes.
Well, this is one debate question. I wouldn't mind losing the debate because I realize how great Joe Burrow is. But once again, he's missed so many games. I mean, I find that disturbing. And going forward, is he going to stay healthy? Is he going to be able to play? I mean, that's the question. If I know he's going to be able to play the majority of games, I would never move on from Joe Burrow. But it's the injury factor that kind of hangs over him.
Jack, we talked last night, and that was yesterday on Greeny. He talked about on ESPN, and he talked about a comparison between Andrew Luck and Joe Burrow's from 2012 to 2018, from 2020 to 2025. Their sacks, their games. Andrew Luck had 86 games, and he was sacked 174 times. Joe Burrow had 73 games, and he was sacked 203 times. That's a big significant number there. So he's getting beat up. Yeah. So I could see him not being happy there, but they just got to figure it out, man. I think there's no way if I'm the Bengals organization, I don't care how many draft picks you get, they can all be flops. You don't know. You tell me that in this particular draft, is there a comparable Joe Burrow coming out of this draft? Mendoza,
No,
or
well,
there's
I have
nobody.
I have a solution for you. I mean, if you're the GM there, James, you get your boy Kirk Cousins, sign him, give him a contract in free agency, and let him quarterback your team.
No,
I'm being
no.
sarcastic here.
I know.
Mm-mm.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. I
No.
mean, again, I'm going to keep Joe Burrow. We're going to figure it out.
I
I mean,
love
that's
Joe
again,
Burrow. If he's going to be healthy, I don't trade him for anyone. Case
yeah.
closed. I'm not entertaining any phone calls. He's my guy. He's my quarterback. End the discussion. Okay. But once again, I do have to sit down and give it serious thought. Do I think he's going to be healthy going forward?
There's so many places you can go through for this debate here because you mentioned earlier about Calvin Johnson and Barry Sanders. And Barry Sanders retired because he lost the love of the game. And the reason why he lost the love of the game, guess why? Because the Lions weren't putting anything around him but him. And if you have to be the one getting the job done all the time, that wears on you. I think the same case happened to Calvin Johnson, too, besides his back pain, which he had since he was at Georgia Tech, by the way. So let's not even get that started. But it gets to a point where you're willing to play through pain if you're getting results from it. If you're not getting any results from it, what's the point? And you want to. Both those players were loyal to their team. I think Joe Burrow wants to be loyal to this team, and I think he put that out there just to say to Cincinnati, hey, and to the point that James, 203 sacks. You have an offensive line problem. I know everybody in the league has an offensive line problem, but some are more than others, and it's just percentages. And if you're getting sacked 203 times over your career, you can't even make it through 2 or 3 seasons. There's a problem. That's an issue. And if your GM doesn't understand that, your ownership doesn't understand that, then they don't need to be in football because that's your priority. And talk about trade and stuff like that. I don't care if you trade. Garrett is on a team that is not a winning team. The defense is great. But are they winning any games? That's the point. Garrett can have 400 damn sacks in a game or in the season. But if they're not winning, what does that make anything? You know what I'm saying? It's going to wear on him too. So trading for him is not going to be the situational help that they need. They just got to get good football players in there that want to play football, that understand the game, and they have – I always got to refer to this every time we talk about this. But Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes are epitome of that. They get football players in there that want to play again. You don't know half these damn players that play on this team, but it seems that they win because they got that grit. They are out there playing football. That's what you want on your team. I don't understand why GMs don't do that. You don't have to get somebody. You don't have to trade for somebody that has 400 sacks because it doesn't make a difference. That's one person. And you're paying a big contract to that one person. Who else are you gonna have on the line? This is the thing I didn't like about the whole, Higgins and Chase thing. Keep Chase. Higgins, you could have Higgins is already on his 4th concussion already in this season. We could have let him go. I mean, he's a great receiver, no doubt. I'm not saying that, but he hasn't played for 2 games because of these concussions, and he's not playing this game that's coming up Sunday because he's got a concussion. Dude, you don't put your money on protecting your quarterback if that is your investment and then that's your franchise. Good teams do realize this. Philadelphia realizes this. Detroit realizes this. At one point, the Chargers realize this too. I mean, both their tackles are gone for the rest of the season, but they had A1 tackles at those positions. So, I mean, you got to protect your quarterback. Everything is started by in the trenches. So, and work its way out. If you happen to get a Joe Burrow, you want to do your best to protect that guy. The Rams do the same thing with Stafford. We got to protect Stafford. and the difference between, and this is what I say, the difference between Tom Brady and all the quarterbacks in the league. Tom Brady takes pay cuts to help get an offensive line around him because he knows an offensive line is vital to the offense. He's got to get those people around him to protect him so he has time in the pocket and throw. I want to see some of these quarterbacks take pay cuts for that to happen. I want to see Joe Burrow take some of his 219 and say, you know what? Let me reconfigure my contract so I can get some offensive players on my offensive linemen on my team so I'm not looking up at the sky every 5 plays. That's ridiculous. He shouldn't be getting sacked 203 times. He took a team to a Super Bowl, and he was sacked the most times that season. He took a team to a – that's how you know how good of a quarterback he is. And I think what it is, management just sits there and ignores that. The thing, oh, well, he got us to a Super Bowl and he got sacked so many times, so we can't really say the offensive line. No. You're going to wear that guy out. He's going to get permanently hurt where he can't play anymore because you don't address what you need to address. I don't think they should trade Burrow either, but at the same time, they should make better decisions in getting people around him. You can't do that. You see how Detroit did Barry. You see how Detroit did Calvin Johnson. That right there will tell you. You got two Hall of Fame players right there. They quit because that team didn't want to do nothing to put stuff around him. And Stafford said, hell, I'm not going to be here for another change of regime. I'm going to L.A. because y'all just keep wishing. I've been under 6 or 7 offensive coordinators in my last 12 years. I'm not going through that again. And I don't blame them. And you don't want that from your quarterback. You don't want Burrow to do that. You don't want Burrow to lose love for the game because you're not doing your job as an ownership.
And to bring it to your point, what you mentioned earlier about players willing to play through back pain. Look at Matthew Stafford playing through back pain because he knows they have a great opportunity to get to another Super Bowl. They won one, and now they have an opportunity to get to another one. Players will fight for you if you're putting them in position to succeed. They will definitely do that. I agree.
Yeah. So on that note, we have concluded today's session of the debates. Very good. Good topics, Jack. Jack always brings the good topics to us. We will catch you next Saturday at 8 a.m. Please join us tomorrow at 8 a.m. for the Big Football Show. And then, of course, at 8 a.m. on Monday morning for the Jack and Keith Weekend Playbook. And then, of course, 7 p.m. on Monday for Glove Fist with also, again, Jack. Jack is a celebrity for the 4 days.
Yeah. And I go on the injured list till the following Friday, yeah.
Without an offensive line.
Injured reserve, yeah. No protection on this network.
No protection whatsoever.
Yeah.
We haven't got to that point yet, Jack. Come on. Ride with us. We're going to be like Cincinnati. Ride with us. We'll make it better. Anyway, everybody have a good rest of your day. Go Navy, beat Army. Go ahead, James. Say it.
Go Army, beat Navy.
I'm impartial.
All right. Everybody have a great rest of your day. Enjoy it. Peace out.